Dominique Wilkins used basketball to free his family from poverty.
He used to play for $20 a game to buy food.
And became the NBA's human highlight film, Beyond the Glory, next on Fox Sports Net.
Before Kobe, or Vinsanity, KG, or even MJ, there was Dominique.
What's it over to Dominique? Score! Here's Meek.
I didn't like the name Dominique growing up, but I kind of like it now.
He was the man of the house by the age of 12.
I didn't have much of a childhood, and neither did he.
A bona fide basketball star by 16.
We just heard that he could dunk.
I mean, he could spit in the rim.
The hype, the fame, the glory.
The women.
We would always joke with him, if you ever gotten in the rest, God only know what you could accomplish on the court.
Dominique Wilkins out of nowhere.
When he found love, his life turned upside down.
She had threatened my life, and I was afraid to do anything.
I never thought I would be up here in a courtroom with him.
It got blown way out of proportion.
They didn't need to make up stories, because it was all true.
In the midst of this civil war, he was sent into exile.
He said somebody hugged me. He was devastated.
That's what killed him.
The only thing I regret is not winning the championship. That's the only thing.
The bizarre odyssey of a true slam dunk artist.
Dominique!
This is Dominique Wilkins.
The human highlights film.
Beyond the Glory.
Absolutely outstanding. Unbelievable. They're included the heat down on baseball.
Do you have anything to say to your fans?
Boston Garden, May 1988.
Bird is 7 of 8 from the field. Wilkins is 4 of 6. Wilkins ties it for Atlanta.
What a game!
It was standing room only, and it was hot. You can feel the heat from the people in the stands.
Bird cuts free, left hands it for the field goal. Just listen to this crowd.
It was a sweat box, and they just kept turning the heat up, play after play.
It's a duel! Bird versus Wilkins.
Game 7.
Wilkins responds.
Do or die.
This is a type of game of who's going to blink first.
Those two guys was like literally just going after each other.
The consummate showman versus the quintessential team player.
Continues. Wilkins. Now he goes into double team. 42 for Wilkins, 30 for Bird.
Dominique would take the one-on-one battle.
You are watching what greatness is all about.
Larry Legend would win the war.
Oh, if you're an Atlanta Hawk fan, it must be hanging and watching in your living room right now. The Boston Celtics win this series.
We had a great opportunity to win. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
The defeat would define his game, perhaps unfairly, for the rest of his career.
I wish more people in the coaching profession could have gotten to know what he's really about.
You know, his reputation of not being a defender, or not being a rebounder, or not being a team guy. I mean, to me, that was completely ludicrous. To me, he was a winner.
His quest for a title would consume him and lead him home to the City of Lights.
The wild finish at the buzzer. Panathinaikos are the European club champion, and we have Bedlam here in Paris.
It's kind of bittersweet. Yeah, he won the championship, but it wasn't the NBA championship, and that's what his real heart's desire is.
The superstar simply known as Dominique got his famous name in Paris, France.
I was actually born in Paris, outside of Paris, called Sorbonne military base.
Nurse came and said, look at little Dominic, isn't he cute? I said, who?
Gertrude Wilkins kept the name for her oldest boy. She would have her hands full.
My mom basically raised 8 kids by herself.
Dominique's father, John, was a military man and a playboy.
My father loved the women, and he ran a lot.
Whenever he did see the kids, he showed them a lot of love.
The Wilkins family returned to the States and settled in Baltimore. By the time Dominique was 12, his father had abandoned the family in the projects known as O'Donnell Heights.
But during the time I lived in Baltimore, it had the highest crime rate in America. I mean, it was tough.
His name didn't help.
Boys used to call him a sissy because they thought, well, what kind of name is that? It sounds like a girl to me.
Dominique became the man of the house.
When I was a baby, I was really sick. I had epilepsy. And I can remember Dominique taking care of me.
If the younger kids got out of hand, believe me, he gave them a good whipping.
He had to do what he had to do. You know, nothing outrageous or, over the top, but he did what he had to do to make sure that we survived.
The lanky kid with the girlish name quickly discovered the best way to stay alive in Baltimore.
He used to go out and play basketball for $20 a game and brought the money home to buy food.
On these courts, a showman was born.
One day I was out there with some older guys. He said, young fella, if you dunk on this goal, they'll give you $20. Had about 3 or 4 dribbles, went up, kept going. Nobody said it was just quiet. And I kindly walked up and said, can I have my $20?
But courtside gambling can't feed a family, and Baltimore seemed more dangerous by the day.
I'm looking out the window, this guy's robbing this old lady. So I said, I gotta get out of this city. This city's too crazy.
In the summer of '76, 16-year-old Dominique visited his grandmother in Little Washington, North Carolina, a tiny harbor town along Tobacco Road. He never went back to Baltimore.
He was coming up the street, and it was like a movie. Like he was walking in slow motion, real tall, skinny, didn't look like nothing but bone.
The high school coach there saw me playing on the playground. He asked me, what can we do to get you to come and play ball here?
That winter, Gertrude moved the rest of the family south. The Washington Pampacks, named after the Pamlico River, began one of the most celebrated runs in the history of high school basketball.
My first year, we won our first 28 games and we lost in the semifinal to go to state.
It would be his only loss in 3 seasons.
From 77 to 79, we had the longest winning streak in the nation, 56 consecutive games.
I think they had us number 6 in the nation. I would have gave anything to play 1 through 5.
Our fans in Washington followed us to every game.
Everybody was there before it started just to watch the warm-up.
We do the Harlem Globetrotter things all behind our backs and heads.
He had taken up the game to survive. His talent would make him a star.
He didn't look at the coach, he didn't look at the players. He just wanted to please the crowd.
He had flirted with perfection to begin his basketball life. But glory is fleeting.
You see your knee swell up in seconds. I thought that my career was over.
Family is forever.
He found him living at a shelter. And I said, you gotta bring him here.
He's the human highlight film.
Let's go, Dominique. Dominique on the fly, in the sky, knocked it in. Baseline drive, Dominique. Oh my goodness! Did you see
Dominique Wilkins got his nickname long before arriving in Atlanta. The high-flying Hawk heard it first in North Carolina at the age of 17.
Couldn't understand how I was scoring these points. I was this skinny kid, 180 pounds, and slip and slide through people. So they said I had to roll the film back to keep seeing what I was doing, and they still couldn't figure it out. So that's how I got the name.
In 1979, Dominique was the main attraction in Little Washington, leading the team to back-to-back titles, 2 undefeated seasons.
you could say he kind of jumped out at you because, you know, what an explosive leaper he was.
Dominique landed in Athens, Georgia, with Coach Hugh Durham's Bulldogs.
The day that he signed to go to the University of Georgia, we all left to watch him. Me and all the other 7 kids.
We'd wear the red Georgia Bulldog from head to toe, and I'd be cheering and everything, and that was great.
Coach Durham had recruited a Fab Four freshman class. Terry Fair, Lamar Hurd, Derek Floyd, and Dominique.
The human highlight film, Georgia's all everything.
I had to live up to that nickname, so I had to come in with a lot of confidence.
Here, watch the stop by Dominique Wilkins. What a move by Wilkins!
His dynamic play led to an early season double overtime win over 6th-ranked LSU and a national reputation.
We constantly had reporters in and out of the room. Everybody wanting to see him, meet him, get an autograph and things like that.
Wilkins picks it up. He'll go under wide open stuff.
The young Dogs won 9 of their first 12 games, but the Cinderella run would end in Alabama.
My knee went one way, my foot stayed there.
Wasn't anything other than just probably physical play inside.
I thought that my career was over, actually, because, you know, you see your knee swell up in seconds, you know, you're like, oh, it's done.
A severe strain would sideline him for 6 weeks. With Dominique on the bench, the Dogs were done.
We leaned heavily on Dominique. When Dominique wasn't there, we lost too many close games.
Back on campus, Dominique met a man with an eye on his future.
Jack found a way to meet players. That wasn't hard to do.
Jack Manton was an attorney who believed the human highlight film was bound for a profitable run.
He would take care of certain players for a while, buy clothes for you, stuff like that, help your family. You see your mother's been on welfare, you got 8 brothers and sisters. I mean, it's really a no-brainer for a young kid.
It was also a violation of NCAA rules. In the fall of 1980, Herschel Walker arrived in Athens like a freight train. The following spring, in Stegman Coliseum, Dominique reminded Georgia fans of the other game in town.
We had the football players interested in coming to watch us now rather than us just going to watch them.
Watch the stop by Dominique.
Dominique averaged more than 20 points a game, but it was the way he scored, like a live wire.
It seems strange that a ball player your caliber would go down to Georgia that didn't have tradition. They're known for football.
Right, that's true. I just wanted to go to a school to help build a tradition.
Dominique led the Dogs to 19 wins and a spot in the National Invitational Tournament. He considered turning pro after only 1 complete college season, a surprising move for the times.
I basically said, hey, the money is there. You can just take it whenever you get ready.
I said, Mom, what should I do? You getting food stamps, you're on welfare, I don't like that. I said, well, tell you what you do. I know I need your help, but you go in the room and you say a prayer. And when you come out, the decision that you make, that's what you do.
Mentally, I just wasn't ready.
Dominique would have one more run in Athens before a starring role on the grandest stage of all. But his dog days would come back to haunt him.
I don't understand, what Jack wanted out of me. It ain't like he needed the money. He got his money right off my contract, so.
Money would be the least of his worries.
The newspaper, half the things they put in there was lies.
They didn't need to make up stories because it was all true.
For more than a decade, Dominique Wilkins was the unofficial ambassador of Atlanta, Georgia.
He meant a lot to Atlanta. He was basically the man, you know, just like Ted Turner's the man here in Atlanta. He was the man here.
The Utah Jazz choose Dominique Wilkins.
He was almost the man in Salt Lake City. Utah took him with the 3rd overall pick in 1982. But Ted Turner saw a potential gold mine in the former Georgia star. The media mogul gave the Jazz $1 million and 2 proven players, including veteran John Drew, for the rookie.
Welcome to Atlanta Hawks.
John Drew was one of the elder statesmen of the team. To get wind of, you know, John Drew getting traded for a rookie, you know, it almost blew us off our feet.
The rookie made the deal seem like a steal.
Again the steal. Dominique is going to jam!
He'd wear himself out sometimes before the game started, just trying to put a show on for the people who had come to watch him play.
You get the fans into the game, that even makes you feel better. And that's the way I like to play. I like to try to get the people around me going.
It was a song came out called Freakazoid. He was out dunking and freaking and everything, so we started calling him Freakazoid.
Oh, my God.
The thing is, it was a thrill. It was something when you come and leave, you can't believe it. Even though you're there, you just can't believe it.
Dominique Wilkins.
He was riding around in one of his cars one day, saw a couple of kids out playing basketball in the driveway. Georgia said, let's stop and play basketball. Let's blow their minds, right? We get out, you know, the kids' eyes like light up. But that's just the type of things he would do. I mean, we would try to bring joy to everybody that he was around.
By 1984, Dominique was the Hawks' leading scorer. He bought his mother a house and showered his little brothers and sisters with his newfound wealth.
Dominique was able to do things and make me happy.
It wasn't anything that I wanted that he wouldn't get for me. You know, anywhere I wanted to go, he wouldn't send me. And he wouldn't just send me, he'd send me and 2 of my friends.
His little brother Gerald followed him into the league in 1985. A guard for the Knicks, Gerald was workmanlike. Nothing like Dominique.
Spun with the alley-oop to Nico. Just throw it up there.
He was spectacular. I mean, just spectacular. The dunks, the explosions to the basket.
It would be just like thunder, like boom!
Dominique ahead of the field.
Dominique reached his biggest audience that year at the 2nd annual slam dunk competition. He faced off against a talented rookie named Michael Jordan. Dominique took the individual trophy, but he wanted a championship.
I asked him, what do you think you can do for this team? And he said, I think I can score more and help us win more basketball games.
Nice pass inside. Far from Wilkins.
Well, we went on to win 57 games, and he wound up leading the NBA in scoring over 30 points per game, so I think he pretty much called the shot.
Got his own rebound again. Yes, the man is possessed.
The Hawks would win the Atlantic Division and cruise through the first round of the playoffs. Atlanta would have to play the defending champion Boston Celtics to move on.
The Atlanta Hawks just will not surrender to the favored Boston Celtics.
It's kind of a clash of 2 worlds. In Bird, you've got somebody who's already an icon. He's already been sanctified as a Boston Saint. And Dominique represents a different kind of basketball.
The frenetic Hawks, led by the Freakazoid, had old-school Boston by the throat. Up 3 games to 2 in the best-of-7 series.
All Atlanta has to do is go down to Atlanta and close the series out.
We blew the opportunity.
Johnson to Bird, high arc, yes.
Lost them, I think, in the last 10 seconds of that game.
Livingston, no. Boston has won the game.
Number 21 would need a win in historic Boston Garden for a shot at the title.
I never forget Zoe came in the locker room and said, we're going to win the bleep, bleep, bleep game. And if you're not going to fight, don't come up here.
Game 7 would go down as one of the greatest games in NBA history.
Dominique was an unstoppable player. No guy could guard him in the league man for man. You could see his competitiveness. You could see his determination in that Game 7.
There was only one player on the floor who could match his will.
End of the third, Kevin Willis came over to me and said, don't let this son of a gun score anymore. Bird's eyes got this big. I looked at Kevin, what are you doing? And from that point, it was a shooting match.
Wilkins, Bird snaps free, comes up with a shot. Dominique, Bird comes free.
Dominique had 47 points, but he was denied a final chance at 50.
There's 5 seconds left for the Miracle. And the foul by Ainge.
We were down 3, and Ainge runs and fouls him rather than one more attempt at a three-pointer. That's how hot he was. That's how much he was in that zone. Ainge feared he might make a 3 and tie the game.
He will quite obviously miss the second one. The miss, and that's it.
He had brought the Hawks within seconds of advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. It was as close as they would ever get.
Nothing can ever take away the memories of the game he played that day.
He was the best player in the game to never win the big one. But with fame came the chance to forgive the man who had left him behind.
I heard that he was in Atlanta. I sent my son John to see if he could find him. He found him living at a shelter. And I said, you got to bring him here.
Suffering from diabetes, John Wilkins would spend the rest of his life surrounded by his family.
He just wanted, live life, and enjoy himself, and maybe to a fault.
Like father, like son.
Zoe could, hang out all night and still come give you a hard 48 minutes. There's not too many people that have been through this league can do that.
Yeah, I had a little bit of cash in my pocket back then. It was fun.
And in Atlanta, I think we were joking with the ratio there, men to women, it was like 17 to 1 or something, women to men or whatever. And, I guess Zoe tried to get his 17, so to speak.
By 91, he had fathered 2 daughters out of wedlock. One of the women would later accuse him of sexual battery.
Everything that glitter isn't gold. And when you think you really know people or know a person, you really don't.
Her complaint was thrown out, but she wasn't the only one to take him to court. His first agent, Jack Manton, sued Dominique, trying to reclaim money loaned to Wilkins during his days at Georgia. Dominique eventually settled the case without an NCAA investigation for $43,000.
I think he got caught up into college athletics at a time where nobody cared.
Dominique, like his dad, would find himself at odds with his family.
They're a very strong family, very tight-knit family. They want what's best for him, for sure, even though they may go about it in strange ways.
Being that close is like, okay, you're taking him away from us. I was devastated, He was my son that would die for me. And now I can't come to his house.
By 1990, Dominique Wilkins had 2 slam dunk titles.
Now that's a 360 with just a little authority, folks.
But he didn't have a ring. Instead, he had a reputation as an individual artist in a team game.
Dominique Wilkins is a repeat champion.
When you're a flashy player and you do a lot of dunking and that sort of thing, that sticks with you. They don't see the other parts of your game. And I tell people all the time, you can't get 29, 30 points a game just on dunks.
Dribbling good.
The human highlight film had led the Hawks to 4 straight 50-win seasons, only to lose twice to Boston in the playoffs.
Boston 118, Atlanta 116.
God only knows that if there was not a Boston team there, how many championships would Dominique been able to win?
Some wondered whether Atlanta could ever win it all, with Dominique in the lineup.
When he is the man, the guy that has to get up 22, 24, 25 shots a night, other people might look at it and say, this guy doesn't want to give the ball up, this guy doesn't want to share.
January 28th, 1992. Dominique needs 33 points to top 20,000 for his career. But the crowning moment of a decade of dominance would have to wait.
Dominique twisted the ankle.
I think somebody hit me or kicked me. I turned around and think, who kicked me? I turned around, no one was there.
But he's in a lot of pain. Dominique nursing the ankle, and you see him limping off.
And I looked down at my foot, it was almost straight in the air.
He'd torn his Achilles tendon. Dominique returned courtside an hour later, his leg in a cast.
Why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. It was an emotional moment I'll never forget. And the team just, you see the tears coming out of guys. I mean, guys was literally crying in the locker room. And that's when you know people respect you.
Dominique's a strong person. He'll be back.
Charles, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Damn, man.
Yeah, one of those things, man.
Unbelievable.
There was no one near me. I just turned and just popped.
When they carried you up on the stretcher, I knew it was bad then.
He was like, my career is over. And I was like, no, your career is not over. You're a healthy young man. You'll be able to come back stronger than ever.
He faced surgery and 8 months of rehabilitation. Within weeks, Dominique changed his life.
This man on crutches humped up to us, sat down, and just started talking. And he just talked and talked.
Nicole Berry was a 22-year-old college student and former model. Dominique proposed 2 weeks after they met.
I guess, it was a vulnerable moment, so it made you more focused on how precious every minute is.
The wedding plans caught the Wilkins off guard and sparked a bitter family feud.
I couldn't even comprehend exactly everything that was going on. I couldn't believe that people were behaving so badly.
Everybody says things when they're mad, she might have said some things to us that wasn't right, and we said some things to her.
The Hawks' leading man found himself starring in a sports page soap opera.
Whenever that kind of controversy, with family, you're always in the middle. Even if you don't want to be, you're in the middle.
Dominique was the oldest. Therefore, if I had any kind of problem, when she came in, that stopped. So I was devastated.
She had threatened my life, and I was afraid to do anything, so.
A war of words evolved into criminal action. Nicole was charged with pointing a gun at some family members. The family struck back.
We had the closet full. My side was empty. Everything was in the pool. The pool had to be drained, and all my stuff had to come out, and it was all ruined.
The bride would get a restraining order against her future mother-in-law.
I never thought I would be up here in a courtroom with him going against me for something he knows is wrong.
600 people were invited to the wedding.
I was dating the chief of police, so he escorted me into the wedding. That's how I got in.
Dominique's sisters did not attend.
It wasn't that we were jealous because he was taking a wife. It's just we were so close. And, being that close is like, okay, you're taking him away from us.
In all my wedding pictures, you see a man in a nice suit sitting quietly. Well, that was my undercover police officer. As outlandish as it seems, it all happened.
By the winter of '92, Dominique was more than ready to return to his first love.
It just would give me chills because I was in love with him. I had no idea how much everyone loved him. Women were just crying because they were so happy that he was back and healed.
He was 33 and trying to return from major surgery.
I think he had the responsibility that he felt to the city, to the franchise, to his teammates, and then to all of his family members who must put a special burden on his shoulders.
Wilkins goes in and
His remarkable return to form had the Hawks poised for another title run.
We were playing great, leading this Eastern Conference, playing great basketball.
On February 24th, 1994, team president Stan Kasten came to the Wilkins house.
Vividly remember Stan kind of pacing around, and he just told me, well, we made a trade today, and we traded Nick to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Atlanta traded its franchise player for the younger Danny Manning.
He came over the house that night. He said, somebody hug me, somebody hug me. He was devastated.
That night, the star of the South disappeared. He would never contend for an NBA title again.
That's what killed him. He got pushed away. He didn't walk away.
I was surprised that someone didn't go after him, pick him up.
March 24th, 1994.
Dominique Wilkins in a Clippers uniform for the first time.
Atlanta welcomed the Hawks' all-time leading scorer back home.
Wilkins tries to throw one up from the hip.
He was very nervous. I'd never seen him. I mean, he was almost shaking.
Wilkins going for three.
Terrible first half. I think I had like 4 points at halftime.
But the human highlight film was determined to put on a show.
I just told Harper, give me the ball. Just give me the ball, get out of the way.
Dominique with a hard move to the basket.
It was so strange because the fans were torn.
Wilkins, a scoop to the hoop for Neek.
I'm like, I'm back home.
Dominique has come back and conquered his old team.
It would be his last starring role in the NBA. Dominique Wilkins would finish his career as a journeyman role player on mediocre teams. Contenders never took a chance on number 21.
Willis and Dominique will watch out.
That's what killed him. He couldn't understand what was going on. He just totally feels like they just shut him out.
I'm not sure that from a distance they really could appreciate how much winning meant to this guy.
It meant so much to him, he left the country to win a title. In 1995, he signed with Panathinaikos Athens of the Greek League. That season would be the hardest of his life.
My father got ill when I was in Greece. They say he fell into a diabetic coma.
John Wilkins passed away on December 27, 1995. Dominique returned home to be with his family.
The Greeks were pressing him to come back to Europe to not stay for the whole funeral and everything, so that was terrible.
And they weren't thrilled about me coming back. They didn't really care about if someone was passing or not. I mean, they would act like them, but they didn't really care.
Dominique's grandmother died just weeks later in Little Washington.
They pressed him so badly when it came to his father's funeral that he actually wasn't even able to go to his maternal grandmother's funeral. I went in his stead, and it just crushed him.
Here's Wilkins. He'll shoot it, and he'll make it. Dominique is in the groove.
Emotionally spent, physically exhausted, Dominique would win his championship in the city of his birth.
And that is it. A wild finish at the buzzer. Panathinaikos are the European club champions.
He would be named the game's most valuable player.
It's a championship, and it's something that in that country is, I mean, it's bigger than life.
But it's not the NBA.
It's tough to walk. It's still tough to walk away. I watch games and I'm like, man, what is this guy doing?
He was depressed. him not having a goal, he was just lost.
To the fans of Atlanta, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, I love you more than you ever know. And I appreciate all the support over these years.
Life beyond the game proved too much for their marriage.
He was miserable. She was miserable. They were just two young people that didn't know which way they wanted to go.
The women who had once hated the union now see the wisdom in keeping it intact.
I said to Dominique, maybe, think about talking about getting back with your wife. He looked at me and said, I can't believe it's come from you. We all make mistakes, but forgiving is the best part.
Dominique is back in Atlanta with his family and the Hawks.
Starting all over again in basketball, but on the other side, on the management side.
If it could end the way you think it should end, Dominique would win his championship, be named one of the 50 greatest players in the NBA, which he should be.
He wasn't recognized as one of the top 50. To me, Dominique is one of the top 25.
He would still be playing right now if anybody invited him to. He'd put on his shoes, socks, and go.
Still, get out there, shoot on. You don't lose the touch. You may lose the knees, but you don't lose the touch.